Alrighty, y'all. Hello and welcome back. It's Friday, the best day of the week. You already know this. We're just here to have fun on Fridays. It's exactly what we're going to do. So I hope you have an awesome weekend. And let's just get into this. Yeah. So today we're talking about, the country that loves to be front and center as, one of the only countries in the world somehow. You might be scratching your head, but of course, we're talking about the USA, right? Now, not everyone thinks like this, but there are plenty that do, and I got the proof. Starting it out with kind of a funny one. So we got Southerners taken out of context here. So, lots of places on Earth, go figure, have, a north part, a southern part, east, west, whatever, right? So clearly, when you talk about the UK as a whole, of course, there's a southern part of the UK, but unfortunately, not everyone can comprehend this, and we have someone that, sees this post, a Southerner's view of the UK and Ireland. Okay, seems pretty self-explanatory, correct? Well, you would think. Southerners don't think about the UK at all. That's what the commenter from North Carolina, right there in the south of the U.S., made sure everyone knew about, okay? Thankfully, they got responded to. When you are in England, the South refers to the part of the country that London is in. It doesn't mean the southern U.S. Sad that you have to spell that out, but okay. Then we have this guy, all right? Now, this is funny. This is actually from a few months ago, but Drake teased a new album called Iceman. Now, here's why this is funny. We have the American, of course, only thinking of our country, and that's it. It's not like they have music in other countries, right? It's not like albums get released worldwide or anything. No. Only the U.S. market is the one that matters, correct? So they say this might genuinely be the worst time in human history to drop an album called Iceman. Now, of course, they're referring to, a political topic, which has to do with immigrations and deporting illegal immigrants. Agency that does that is ICE, right? That's the deal here in the U.S. Now, absolutely has nothing to do with this album. That's why this is hilarious. The funny part is the rest of the world isn't going to think of that ICE that this guy's thinking of, right? This is not a concern in the rest of the world. Second of all, Drake is not even from the U.S. He's Canadian. I think he's clearly referring to some Canadian roots here. I don't know, just a wild guess. Even continuing down here, I would call this terminally onlineism because even with all going on in the U.S., I'm pretty sure most people reading Iceman would think of actual ice before anything else. That's what you would think. That's what most healthy minds are thinking. But yeah. Now, this one's funny. It shows TV search engine puts the UK version in parentheses despite being the original. This one isn't like a huge deal to me personally, but I do agree that it's a little odd when you think about it. So, here you have the original show, right? The original show is from the UK. It came first, decades before this clear remake. And the remake, presumably, from this, I can gather, is American then. The problem is, depending on where you're watching TV, right? So, like this search engine, maybe they're in the US. I could see this maybe being okay. It's still not correct. I will agree with you there, but it's just referring to like, hey, there's the UK version. Here's the US version. You have to do this for Americans, okay? It's just good. This is how you have to do it. It would do the same thing if you looked up The Office, right? Now, both versions are awesome, but The Office obviously originally is from, again, the UK. There was a remake that was also very good from the US, and I can totally see, or I think I have seen here, it just says The Office for the US version, and then The Office UK for the UK version, even though the UK version was totally original and unique and came first. But I will say if this is elsewhere, then this is pretty weird, right? Because in reality, it should just say, have I got news for you, 1990, and then the remake, it should say parentheses US or wherever it's from because it is the remake and it's a different country version, right? I actually agree with this top comment, though. They say, possible unpopular opinion, they should both be labeled with the country, right? I actually agree. I wish I'd have thought of that literally 5 seconds ago. They should just say what country they're from if there's multiple versions, no matter what. That would just be straightforward and easy. Wow. Fun fact. Countries that start with the letter I are all in a straight line. Yes. See the big countries of the world in a straight line. By the way, this is actually a kind of a cool little fun fact here, right? They all start with I. They're in this diagonal straight line. I get it. It's pretty cool. Illinois, Indiana, Idaho, like, bro. Oh, what I'm actually a little mind blown by is that this has so many likes. This has nearly 19,000 likes. How many? So 19,000 dummies like this, I guess. So yeah, guys, now you know, India, right? Iceland, Indonesia. They're countries just like Illinois. I'm from the country of Illinois. So yeah, don't mess with me. Now, this one really kind of makes me laugh because this person thinks that the word nationwide is only applicable in the U.S. You can have other big nations, right? But there's no such thing as nationwide. That only exists here, apparently. Why? Hell if I know. I have no idea. You can't say nationwide if it's not in the U.S. Huh? If you listen to the first 3 seconds of the video, he says it's nationwide at Subway. Nationwide means throughout the nation they are in. So, like, not the whole world. Reminds me of the fact that there are airports around the world that are basically forced to put up the USA flag at the foreigner arrow next to the globe world map because too many Americans cannot conceptualize that they are, in fact, foreign to the country they're tourists in. This sounds like one of those things where you're like, it can't be true. But then you think about it and you're like, it is true. Damn it. This little conversation is absolutely hilarious because we're talking about literally a video. I mean, you can see the screenshot here. Policia, right? You can see Spanish colors, okay? You could conclude if you see the video that this is not the U.S., all right? It's pretty easy. Bro came to control the protest, but now he's controlling with his own heart. Cops in Spain? What the F are you talking about? Hey, I got something to talk about. Release the Epstein files. On a post about literally a different country across the ocean, far away. Have you even watched the video you were commenting on? The cop says, Policia, and he has a Spanish flag on it. That means it's a police officer in Spain. Sure, release the files. Now back to how you have no idea what you are even talking about. Where do these people get the thought process from? As an American, like I don't know what these people base any of their comments on, right? Like I do realize that as a whole, we're a lot, to a degree, between our media and schooling and all these things, we're a little bit removed from the rest of the world. We're not plugged in like a lot of other countries are, right? And that's clearly something funny, but it's also kind of an issue, right? But this level, right? Like most people are still able to, have common sense and they realize there's a whole world out there and they realize we have, a lot to do with a lot of other countries still. I just don't get it. I just don't get when people comment stuff like this. American English is the language of the internet. Most other countries rarely think about the UK, and that's appropriate. So many stupid ideas in such a small comment. How is American English the language of the internet? How? How? And what does this even mean? Most other countries rarely think about the UK. How do you know that? Are you saying you rarely think of the UK? Since you don't, that means a lot of other countries don't either? I'm confused. I'm moving on. Here we have a classic. You're watching a shorts video. Literally, the whole thing is laid out over Norway. Okay? It says Norway right there. $20 for gas? Gas in all caps, too. So they right away let everyone know where they were from. Yes, the British man traveling to Norway is using USD. Yes, because when you're British, right, and you think you're going to go way up north, you're going to go up to Norway. Let's see, I'm in Europe. I'm a Brit. I'm going to Norway. The U.S. is not relevant, and it's way over there. But you know what? I am going to use U.S. dollars. That's right. It might be a pain. It's not our currency in the UK, and it's definitely not the currency in Norway either. But you know what? I'm going to use U.S. dollars. How do you deal with these people? What's funny is I bet this person didn't even reply. I bet they didn't even look. They're just going to remain ignorant because ignorance is bliss in the U.S., that's for sure. Well, additionally, you would have to explain to someone from the U.S. what a liter is, and that is not the price per gallon. At that point, it's too much. It's just too much work. They're not going to get it anyway. I'd say just move on. Now, this one is a classic date format, right, case, but this one has a good twist to it, okay? We've seen these before, sure. You know, you have the 22nd of February, 2022. Of course, the American's going to say, what the hell's the 22nd month? But they have a good response for him. How can 22 months exist? How can $20,000 hospital bills exist? Got him. It's a good one. You know, credit. You got to give credit where it's due. That's a good comeback. That's how you handle that, for sure. Tonight, a 19-ish-year-old in the bar very nicely asked me if I could give them a refund on a vodka Coke they bought because they realized they were too drunk and drinking would be a bad idea. A move both so ballsy and sincere I couldn't possibly refuse. I thought in all U.S. states you must be at least 21 years old in order to purchase alcohol. I'm one of the dozens of people worldwide that live in a country that's not America. Oh, that's too good. He's right. There are dozens of us. Hi, Thomas. How's your mom? Of course, next we have another American that thinks everything, and I mean everything, was invented from the U.S. Everything that's just good and useful that you use every day, you can just thank the U.S. for, okay? Obviously, right? Online had to be invented here, correct? Also, you posted this online, Maria says. Online was invented in the U.S. Got him. Bricktop. Tim Berners-Lee was British. I swear Americans worry me sometimes. Ooh. She got ratioed pretty bad there. Maria, take the L. It's okay. You didn't know any better. Next time, get some help. Do some research. We're going to end it with this. This is actually fascinating. And I'll tell you why. I feel like this one hits a little close to home. In a different way. I'll tell you. Just, here we go. Can a band that is unknown in the United States but big in the rest of the world be considered successful? Think about that question for a second. Wow, right? What? As you can see, poster suggests bands can only be considered successful if they have success in the U.S. Obviously, this is an absolutely ridiculous sentiment here. Almost everyone in the charts here is clearly unsuccessful. Very sad. They must be crying at the large amounts of money over people in the U.S. not knowing them. And this is funny for me because, you know, I'm very amazed and thankful and kind of just flabbergasted at, you know, the fact that my YouTube channel has got pretty big, at least big in my eyes. You know, I know big is always relative, right? Because I remember doing YouTube videos and having, you know, 7,000 subs or 10,000 subs and getting 1,000 views on a video was like a really good day. You know what I mean? So it is big. It's not big compared to some people that have 20 million subs. Okay, fine. But I'm proud of it. And what's funny is when you look at my analytics, I actually do have United States viewers, but YouTube actually sorts it by countries, and I think they're number 10 or 11 on my, you know, average viewers per month or whatever. They float around that kind of number. So obviously I have, you know, way more viewers in, you know, the rest of the world, right? Mostly European countries, you know, of course, Australia being in there as well. And I guess according to this person, Mountain Fox, I guess I'm not successful at all. My YouTube channel is a joke. I might as well shut it down. So I guess that's it, guys. I'm not, very well known here in the U.S. I might be well known in other countries, but that doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, because the rest of the world is fake. Only the U.S. matters. I failed. Gotta hang it up. Hell no, that is the dumbest logic ever. Of course, you could be successful anywhere. You can have viewers or listeners for a band anywhere. Come on, dude. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. We're going to end it with that one. Absolute shit stain banger there at the end. It is Friday. I just hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to your comments. I appreciate you watching. And I hope you have an awesome weekend. And with that being said, my name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.